All right, finally. Sorry, everybody. Good evening. Can you see us? Yes. Welcome to BelloHeart. Tonight is 9/1/2023, September 1st, 2023. This is BelloHeart Incense Hour. We're just talking, me and my buddy Will. We're gonna talk about some who knows what. We're just gonna talk about whatever. So thanks for joining us. And I don't know, so for a couple things that have been happening lately in the world. One thing is about the UFO stuff. Do you know, Will, anything that's happening in the world about UFOs?
No, but I'm hoping you'll tell me all about it.
So you don't know that, like, June 12th of this year, there was a National Press Club event, which I have my QR code up top. If you, right there, there's a QR code to the Disclosure 2.0 event from Dr. Stephen Greer, which I have his information on the bottom scrolling and stuff. And it talks about he had a bunch of whistleblowers that had firsthand experience with either ETs or technology that was supposedly hidden by our government and things like that. And that happened on June 12th. You know nothing about that?
No.
So
It's on none of the media I seen, nothing.
right, the media is terrible. Well, mainstream media is being controlled by whoever. So that's the point of this. Like, so on the bottom, you see I have a scrolling. It says, "Watch the movie Unacknowledged." And last week, actually a few days ago, I posted a video about Stephen Greer's movie Unacknowledged, which is about the secrecy in the government. About how we've had contact with ET since the 1950s, since Roswell, 1947, and how since then there's been a cover-up that's been going on in our government for the last 100 years. And the movie Unacknowledged kind of breaks it down very eloquently and kind of explains it, perfectly. And last week I did a 36-minute synopsis of the first half of that movie. And I think it's a very valuable tool for everybody to watch. So, what do you think about aliens anyway? Your personal opinion?
I think they're out there.
And so, besides that, the last 3 weeks ago, there was a Congress in the House of Representatives. There was actually a hearing with it's on film. It's on the YouTube channel. I can put the link in this in the description, where there was a 3-hour, live House of Representatives, whatever, hearing, where they actually interviewed 3 people in
Where
Congress.
did this take place?
In the House of Representatives, like, for real. Like, this happened last month in July. So, and there's supposed to be another hearing in September, where they actually just, like, congressmen are supposed to talk about ETs and aliens and our back, and they have recovered bodies and all kinds of stuff. It's been going on for 100 years. And so, what do you think about that?
So it all comes to light.
So, like, growing up, what do you think? Like, what were you taught about, like, aliens and stuff like that? Was the thing you thought was real? Think it was a possibility?
It's just a movie thing. I thought when I was younger, I thought it was just in movies, and that was about it. Like back in Men in Black. I was actually used to it.
Yeah, well, Men in Black's supposed to be historically accurate in some way, but like, so you hadn't, like, growing up, you believe, like, you were like, there's no way that's real.
No, I had no belief in it.
So, like, you were just taught. So, what religion were you brought up? What were you, like, religious wise growing up?
Catholic. I did my communion and all.
Me too. I was Catholic. Did you do your confirmation?
No, I didn't make it that far. I didn't want to do CCD no more.
Yeah, I did my confirmation.
I wish I did though. I wish I stuck it out, but parents didn't really push me to finish it if I didn't.
So, why do you wish you stuck it out?
Just because I feel like there's more benefits to it. More to learn and just everything else that comes with it.
Well, all right. So, as far as religion, like, I'm Roman Catholic. I made my confirmation. So I guess and I got married too. I guess I completed all my sacraments except for death, was the last one in the Roman Catholic, whatever, chain of events, I guess you call it. But I don't believe in religion anymore. I think it's control. I think religion is a way to control us to believe whatever they decide we should believe. Whereas I think spirituality, which I've come to become.
So you think religion's kind of like a cult?
Exactly. I think each religion has I think they have good intentions initially. I think the people that believe in religion have great intentions. I think they have their hearts at first. I think they care about their community. I think they want to help. I just think they're being misled by the leaders.
Yeah.
Just like our government. I think our government's lying to us daily. I think that, they're starting to talk about UAPs, which is unidentified aerial phenomenon, UFOs and all those stuff. But if you listen to these whistleblowers on Congress, they've known about this since there's a documented UAP in Canada from 2004. So that's 19 years ago, dude.
Yeah.
Right? And that's older than both my kids. So 19 years ago, they've known about these UAPs and UFOs, and now they're just starting to talk about them. I mean, so if they were hostile, they wait 19 years.
What took so long for this to come out?
Well, that's the point. The point is that when you watch, that's why I recommend watching that movie Unacknowledged.
When did Unacknowledged come out?
Unacknowledged came out in 2017, and actually that's
so this is like fairly new.
Yes,
6 years ago.
Right, but the person who is the narrator, who created it, Dr. Greer, it's an independent film which has no corporate backing, that's why it's free on YouTube. And he actually started this journey from the 1990s. And me personally, I remember watching. I don't know if you ever heard of Bob Lazar. You ever heard of Bob Lazar?
No.
Bob Lazar was a person who came out in 1989 and said he worked at Los Alamos in New Mexico, saying that he was hired by the government to backward engineer. And it was on the news when I was little. In 1989, I was 176, so I was like 13. I remember seeing this on the news at 13. And it's insane. Like, of all the things you can remember at 13, like what news channels you've ever seen, like what news stations and what things you were doing. I remember that vividly, and for whatever reason. So I remember he was talking about how he was working on Los Alamos, and he was backward engineering these recovered UFOs and their propulsion devices, and he was talking about this element that didn't exist on our periodic table yet.
So is there pictures and videos of this thing
Absolutely
out there?
Absolutely.
Of extraterrestrial vehicles for the United States government. The hardware and technology I was exposed to should be placed in the proper hands of the scientific community, and it is the right of every person on Earth to know that there is physical evidence which proves that there is life elsewhere and that at least one form of that life has been here. For those of you whose information about me is limited to this video, I'll give you a brief background. I'm a physicist. I have degrees in physics and electronics technology. I worked in a number of scientific programs, some of which require top secret and above top secret security clearances, of which the most easily verifiable is my early 1980s job here at the Los Alamos Mason Physics Facility in Los Alamos, New Mexico. Between December of '88 and April of '89, I worked as a senior staff physicist in what has to be the most secret project in history. My place of work was a facility at an area known as S4 on the Nellis Air Force Range in central Nevada. Area S4 is located approximately 15 miles south of the infamous Area 51 installation at Groom Lake, where the U-2 and SR-71 spy planes were developed. For the duration of my employment at S4, I was paid by the United States Navy. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to segregate the information contained here into two separate parts. The first part will deal with information with which I've had hands-on experience and
All right, so you heard that? So now that was just the video. That was just a small snippet of someone who, when I was 1989, I was 13, and I remember watching a news clip of old news clips. Like, that's why, like, of all things when stick out of my head, that's one thing I remember my whole life. And I remember watching this gentleman, Bob Lazar, talking about how he's working for a government program that's elite, that's not known, in Los Alamos, which is where the nuclear bomb was developed for America. And he was backward engineering a alien propulsion system. So you look at that and, like, 1989, right? So, like, back then he was considered a quack. He was, like, laughed at, told he was crazy. You know, they went and did research on him, and the news media was, they took his whole, like, they picked apart his whole, like, educational career, went to his colleges, and supposedly the government went and, like, threatened all his institutions and made him like looked like he didn't exist, and everything he said was BS. Like everything he said was a lie. So what do you think about that? 1989, before you were born, right?
Yeah.
So
years before I was born.
before you were born, people been trying to come out with this information about alien technology and backward engineering and stuff that could potentially change the world that we live in and fix the biosphere, fix the poverty situation, fix the petroleum disgust, whatever. The petroleum industry makes me sick. I'm gonna throw up, and everything else. So that you have a daughter who's 11. I have 2 kids, 17 and 15. And they could grow up in a world where there was peace, universal everything. But because all this technology and information is being oppressed by some puppet masters out there, we have to be the ones to carry on the fight and carry on the torch to spread the message of the truth. Because it's been for so long, just like you said, growing up, you laughed at UFO information, right? You were like, it's not true.
Yeah, growing up, I had no belief in it.
Right. Why?
To me, there was no proof. There was really no talk about it.
Right. If anybody brought it up, it was like, whatever.
Yeah, it was just like a joke, or nobody really took it serious. So.
Right, that's the problem. So that's the whole point. Like, that's why so BelloHeart, like that. So that's why I started this channel for 2 things. I started it because I have kids, and I think that they need to learn that the truth needs to be spread however it comes. And nowadays, because of technology and because of the way the communication world works, we can do this stuff. And I think that there needs to be outlets of information that spread the truth. So just because our media has oppressed this information for so long, does that mean it's not true? No. And I could show you video after video and evidence. So there's so much evidence about UFOs. It's disgusting that it's about time that it finally comes out. So I just wanted to show you that video and see what you thought.
What other proof is there besides he say, she say?
Well, that's the whole thing. So
is there any video proof, pictures?
There's tons of proof. There's so much if that's why I say watch this movie Unacknowledged, and then we could sit down and talk because in that movie
I'm gonna watch it, but before the next time I come back.
He talked about how there's so much proof. It's an embarrassment of riches. There's
because I did watch the first 20 minutes of it, and what they were saying was when they all described it, it was all pretty much the same description of what they looked like, and to me it was kind of like a cartoon character.
Right, and that's the whole problem. The problem is
the big eyes, the long skinny arms with the what they say, was it either no joints or I had one?
Right, exactly, and that's how we were raised.
4 fingers. They didn't have
the big eyes, the black eyes, with the whole. Almost like Independence Day, whatever. We were all taught a certain way growing up to believe, and that's that's why this movie Unacknowledged is so powerful, is because he talks about how since 1947, since Roswell, you know what Roswell is?
Yeah,
Roswell is the first historical documented UFO encounter in America, the most popular, most famous one anyway. There's one before that supposedly.
You ever watch South Park?
Yes, of course, I love South Park.
I saw a clip of it not too long ago. I think I saw it on TikTok or YouTube, one of the two. And they were saying that how the world wasn't real. It was run by by aliens. And they were in every episode there was one hidden, and it was just a big TV show. And then they finally exposed it once something happened, and they finally exposed it. So.
But if you really start to journey down
that's kind of what it is though with the media, right?
Well, yeah, that's why I think the Matrix.
By.
So, as you know, we've talked in the past about the movie The Matrix, and the Matrix came out in 1999, I want to say, and it's one of the most significant movies, in my opinion, in history, and that has to do with because it teaches you.
Think it's important to watch, right?
Yes, it teaches you about waking up from being brainwashed or being controlled by some sort of overall entity, right? So now in the movie, in The Matrix, it has to do with robots and blah, 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 AI, whatever. But the reality is we're all being manipulated by the media, by the propaganda machine. Same thing as the Nazis, and I hate to say it, in the World War II, they spread all the information. They spread this propaganda about the Jews and why they somehow turned the whole country against the Jews and made it okay to, the Holocaust, like a thing that was okay with Germans. we're doing the same thing, but we're doing it in a secret manner. We're not coming out in open and say hate everybody, hate each other, and go kill everybody.
Yeah.
No, we're doing it through social media. We're doing it through media like news stories, and everything else. It's the same thing. It's all manipulated, which is why. How do you know where do you get your true information from? Like, where do you get your news from? As a 30-year-old man, 31-year-old man in this world.
Just stuff I see on like Facebook or.
All right. How do you know it's true?
You don't. That's why I tell her all the time, don't believe everything you see on the internet. So.
Well, we all tell like, I mean, I have 2 kids. You have an 11-year-old daughter. So I mean, we're all telling, don't believe anyone on the internet. Don't believe TikTok. Don't believe that.
Yeah, don't believe everything.
However,
It's not a reliable source,
but what is okay? That's
If they
right.
don't think it's honest.
That's not a reliable source. Okay, but then what is a reliable source for them? So it's great to tell them that it's not a reliable source. Then what do you tell them where to get it from? What do you tell them? What
I'm
is a
still
reliable
trying to figure
source?
that out myself. So
I agree. As a
I
father,
try not to believe everything. I just try to help point people in the right direction.
father, I'm dumbfounded to like, and that's the other reason why like BelloHeart started, because I don't even know what to tell my kids anymore. Like, what do you watch to get like truthful information? You know, the news is lying. You know, you could watch Channel Fox, you could watch Channel 2 News, Channel 4 News, Democratic News, and then watch Channel Fox News and get a totally different story about the same exact story, but it's completely different because of their agendas.
That's like even when I was in school, they were teaching us about stuff that happened like long time ago, and not teaching us about current events, not telling us nothing about what's actually going on. It's
right. It's selective. And that's the whole thing with the whole education system now. There's a whole thing mess going on now with education. Like, who decides what our children should learn? History. Critical race. There's all kinds of stuff happening in the news. But the point is, like, to me, I look at the news as like it's just a distraction from what's really going on.
Yeah.
And the puppet masters, to me, are above the news, controlling it like a marionette. And they're trying to they're using politics, weather. Financial nonsense, petroleum, the war in Ukraine as a way to distract us, keep us from actually looking at what's really happening. And that's the manipulation that they're using to tell us to stop looking at what's really going on, is that they're controlling the fucking whole world on us. And that we just have to, it's like slavery. And I hate to say this as a white man, but slavery, but instead of using whips and chains, they're using pensions and insurance and 401ks as a way to keep us feeding the corporate greed and all the BS on top. And that's why I think transparency is such a huge and important point going forward for us, especially with kids, in the next generation. What do you think?
I think it's true.
Exactly. So I don't know. I think we have a choice. I think as men growing up in this world, we have a choice. We can either just continue to live our lives drinking and getting messed up and not caring about much. Listen, I drink, I enjoy my life, but at the same time, I have children in this world, and I can either choose to just close my eyes and just not care, or I can choose to try to do something. And I choose to try to do something for my kids and for your kids and for everybody else's kids in this freaking world. Because the next year is going to be insane, and we all need to get our heads right. Talk to our friends, talk to our family, and tell them we love them. Forgive them, and spread the word of understanding and acceptance, and not trying to divide each other. Because soon we're gonna have to decide what side we're on, and we need to be on the side of love and not greed and money and all that other stuff. Anything you want to say before we leave?
Subscribe to BelloHeart. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram.
Thanks, buddy.
And have a good night.
And Vinny, if you don't get on the next video, you're fired. Love you, buddy.